Hello guys, I will never forget how back in 2022 Russia attacked Ukrainian energy infrastructure for the very first time. We were lost, we were frightened, and I believe the Kremlin was convinced that these blackouts would push Ukraine to surrender. And once again, they totally failed in their predictions and forecasts about Ukraine. Actually, this very wrong idea of Ukrainians is something that will destroy Russia from within. And look at us now, almost 4 years after Russia's first attack on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Now we have 500,000 Russians in Belgorod region without electricity and in Oryol, and 200,000 of them do not have heating and running water in their homes. It was not our choice. It was a choice of millions of Russians who supported the so-called special military operation and hoped that it would take place only on the Ukrainian side, forgetting one very important rule of any war. It always returns back home where it belongs, and in case with the Russian war in Ukraine, it belongs to Russia. And now dozens of their regions taste their own medicine. Putin is desperate after a number of geopolitical failures and really bad negotiations between the Kremlin and the White House, and he decided to threaten, I guess, NATO and EU countries by targeting Oreshnik missile in Lviv, that is just 70 kilometers away from the EU and NATO border. It was with empty warheads, but it's just a demonstration of the Kremlin's desperation, nothing else. So let's discuss how war is developing on the Russian side while we implement the only working peace plan, that is to defeat and demilitarize this evil empire. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Putin in The Hague, subscribe, share this video, spread the truth and the good news. Because in the world of chaos and violence, we need to deliver justice to the main war criminals, and trust me, Putin is definitely number one. So let's begin with the updates from Oryol and also Belgorod region of the Russian Federation. These are active war zones. We have to see this difference in the course of the Russian war in Ukraine. After 4 years, longer than the Second World War for Russians, we see that dozens of their regions are an active war zone with explosions, air raid alerts, with not working internet, and actually this war zone extended to the capital, Moscow. But of course, perhaps the situation is the worst in Belgorod, Kursk, Oryol, Lipetsk, and now they are without electricity. They do not have warm water, they do not have heating, and here you may say, I've heard a similar thing about Ukraine, and you are right. A lot of Ukrainian cities, especially like Dnipro, Zaporizhia, are without electricity, in total blackouts. Attack on Kyiv was awful last night, but it is exactly what Russians do to us during 4 years since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. And the good news is that we did not surrender, that we did not lose hope in our own strengths, in our ability to defeat this evil and to survive. And after years of Russia's war on the territory of Ukraine, we finally returned war back to them. And now the population that cheered for this war, that supported Putin, that joined the Russian army now fully enjoys, all the consequences of this war. And every time they turn off electricity in Kyiv, something similar may happen to other cities on the Russian side, because that is war. And for Russians to finally understand their responsibility, to finally feel what they cheered for, they need to feel the experiences we have. And they are lucky because the armed forces of Ukraine only target legitimate sites. Contrary to what they did in Kyiv with that double tap on a civilian building, killing medics who came to rescue people. That is awful, and it will never be forgiven or forgotten. So anyway, Russians in those regions that are an active war zone experience blackout. In Oryol, this is 500,000 people. In Belgorod, in Oryol, less, but still. And most importantly, these are big numbers during really bad weather conditions. We have similar extremely low temperatures in Ukraine, and we know how it feels. With one very big difference: we did not start this war, and this war can end the moment Russians demand the Kremlin to stop it. The moment they leave Ukraine, the war ends. Please never forget about this. And I believe, unfortunately, Russians will not protest as they do against increasing taxes or, gasoline crisis, which is already a progress, but I do not expect them to speak for justice or against the war in Ukraine. And the only working peace plan is actually to defeat this evil by demilitarizing them. And Putin seems to be cornered. No one in Ukraine is afraid of this moment because there is no other solution to this war but the defeat and demilitarization of Russia and Putin in The Hague, in prison, or else, as you may guess, but YouTube is too sensitive. And feeling that he's losing tremendously on this geopolitical arena, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Syria, and now Venezuela and Iran. I hope that people of Iran will become free. I do not speak a lot about that on my channel because I believe I'm in Ukraine, I'm from Ukraine, that's my mission. But I cannot even think without tears what women in radical countries, regimes like that experience. So I pray that they return back to freedom, to democracy, and that would be a tremendous loss for the Kremlin too. So in case with my subjective experience, that would be a win-win situation. And if anyone is watching from Iran, leave your comments. It would be so important to know that we stay in touch and support each other fighting against the authoritarian regimes. But feeling desperate, Putin decided to threaten us again with Oreshnik. He did target Ukraine, Dnipro with it. It was again with empty warheads. This time they targeted Lviv, very close to the border with the European Union, very close to the border with NATO, actually less than 70 kilometers from Poland. And a lot of experts here in Ukraine believe that this move was not that much focused on the Ukrainian reaction because Putin already knows he cannot frighten us. We are not afraid of bullies. We know that the only way to defeat a bully is to stand against it. But perhaps it was targeted on some EU countries trying to stop the support of Ukraine. And I believe it will not result in this panic among our partners, because if bully is appeased, he always continues. Let me know, what do you personally think? Is there a way that Putin can frighten your government, your people? But believe me, fear is the worst strategy when dealing with war criminals like Putin. Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, all the links in the description of this video, same as the link to Anna Danilchuk channel, where I talk once a week, a little bit longer, but I consider some of our topics like, this 26 years of Putin's reign that many forget about when asking for elections in Ukraine. I consider many of these topics not that, news-oriented, but very useful. So check the video and subscribe. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels. And remember to join us tomorrow, 9 p.m. Kyiv, for a live conversation. Thank you for your support. United we stand. Slava Ukraini!